Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wander and Prepare. Today I have a very cool thing to show you guys. So I have a couple knives here from Aurora Knife and Tools. So I actually first learned about these knives when I was at Blade Show in Atlanta last year. And if I'm not mistaken, he didn't even have any knives there to sell. He was literally kind of in the prototype phase, and he had several knives that you could handle, but like he didn't actually have any production for you to sell. But I was super impressed with the way the knives handled, and reached out to him a few months ago and talked about doing some reviews, and he was kind enough to send me a couple for reviews. So let's just go ahead and dig in. We're first going to do an unboxing, and then we'll do an actual use review with it too. So we're going to do one knife at a time, so you'll see two knives in here, but I'm just going to open one, but we're going to do the whole unboxing. So this is the outside of the box, and then on the inside he has this little message that says, hey, we did it. What's inside this box is one of our wildest dreams come true, and you made that happen. So from the bottom of our hearts and the top of this box, thank you. And down here he says, we include you here in case you missed it. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit, because the first one we're going to review today is the HiveMind. And cool concept to how he come up with this. He basically put a whole bunch of different knife styles and designs into a computer and came up with the most common design of what he called the knifiest knife, and then obviously put a little modifications on it and kind of made it his own. But super cool idea. We'll dig into that, but just look at what comes in the box. So has a little pin, got their logo on it, and then has a really nice little cloth here. And when I was at Blade Show, he actually a lot of his knives, he did like a little print or design on the scales of his knife. That was also pretty cool. But this one is more of a standard production style knife. So let's just go ahead and dig in and take a look. So this is the HiveMind. So comes in a really nice little case, Aurora Knife and Tools. And then on the back, it says new every day, which is kind of their little statement. So once you open it, comes really well packaged, and actually a really nice case. Like if you can see the inside of that, super nice. Comes with additional screws, looks like some pivot washers maybe, but different things on there. And then inside this little bag is the actual knife, and here we have the HiveMind. So this one's really cool. So this one is titanium scales, has a titanium pocket clip in it. This one has copper accents, which I think just look amazing. So a little copper there on the back of the pocket clip, and then the little spacer is also in copper as well, and really cool. So this is actually, it's not a button lock, it's actually a a liner lock, but this button actually actuates the liner and kind of allows it to open. So a couple different methods of opening with this one. So you have the thumb opening, and then you can see that close there, but it also has a front flipper too. So super good action. One thing I loved about them when I was at Blade Show, but super good looking knife. So let's talk about the blade just a little bit. So if I'm not mistaken, it is 3.2 inches overall. Pretty sure I read that. But it is actually S35 steel, so super good quality knife. And the other thing, titanium scales, copper accents, S35 steel, and this thing comes in at $199. I just don't think you can beat that. Like, that's just a really good deal. So let me go ahead and get these things put up, and we will kind of get a little bit better feel of it, and then we'll just see how well the thing cuts. Is it worthy of being a knife? Let's find out. All right, so man, he really does a good job and does a fantastic job of fit and finish on these knives. They feel amazing when they're in the hand. And just that button, if you can see in here when I press this button, if you can see the liner, see how it moves out of the way when I press that, and then able to just fall right down. And just crazy action, crazy opening. I love both methods, whether the thumb stud or the front flipper. I love front flippers in general, so I think they're just pretty amazing. But man, I am really digging the copper accents on this thing, and I just think it looks really good. So it's hard to kind of describe, but man, just feeling it, I have absolutely cut nothing with this knife. So I don't know how it's going to be, but just feeling that edge, I think this is going to be a pretty slicey knife. So looking at it, it looks to be a full flat grind. So probably going to lend itself really well to these cutting tests. But let's just go ahead and get started. So let's first start out with some paper. And I think everybody's kind of go-to for, is this knife sharp? I think that answers that question. So pretty cool. And like I said, crazy sharp so far. But let's jump in. Let's see if we'd cut anything else. So what do we want to start with first? All right, let's start with some Titan Survivor cord. So you guys have seen this a couple times, but I like showing you. There's actually a metal snare in there. Maybe you can actually see it today up against my shirt. But that metal snare right there makes it very difficult to cut. And Titan Survivor cord is really cool. So it's got 7 strands, but it also has a fire starter right there. It has some, I think this is like a little wax twine. It has fishing line in here. So really cool stuff, by the way, if you guys have never checked them out. But let's see how it does. Let's first do a cut this way. And most knives can cut through it really easily this way, but let's see how it does. Struggled a little, but got through it pretty easy. But what almost all knives struggle with is trying to cut through it here. And it's not necessarily trying to cut through it flat like that, but it's, whoa, it's that metal cord inside. And man, I gotta do it again to I get the metal cord out. Nope, it's there. Let's just do that again. Holy crap, like that's a slicey knife. Like that's probably the easiest I have any knife ever gone through those. So that was quite impressive. So absolutely no trouble whatsoever with the start of this one. So all right, let's step it up just a little bit. So this is some polypropylene rope. This is not climbing rope, so it's just standard, not great quality or anything. But let's see how it does. Well, let's just do both tests. Let's go through this way first. Man, super easy. Now let's put it on the table and go through. Like it, I don't know, you can't tell how much pressure I'm putting on this, but like that was little to no pressure and it just sliced through that like crazy. So some of the sharper knives that I've done have actually struggled just to get through the last few strands on that. So I mean, that was crazy impressive. So all right, let's step it up. So now we got a toe strap. And this is a 24,000 pound toe strap. So let's see how it does with this. So this is a pretty heavy duty stuff. But this certainly doesn't make it look that way. So pretty awesome. Most knives can get through that one okay though, but they struggle once I put it on the table and try to go through this way. So let's see how it does. One little strand there. But that was pretty impressive. Let's just do it one more time and see if I can go straight across. All right, it's gonna take twice. All right, get that tip and I bet it'll go through. Oh, hanging up right in the center right there. But man, crazy slicey. I mean, that's really, really impressive. So, all right, let's step it up just a little more. So this is jute twine. And most knives I have can get through this. So this isn't, it's kind of just standard rope, if you will, but it's pretty thick. But a lot of times it'll struggle just because of the thickness to get through it. But let's see how it does. And sometimes it doesn't get super clean cut, but I think this one's probably, ooh, struggles a little bit with it. All right, I think that may have been more me than anything else. There you go. Super clean cut, gets through that with no ease and no trouble whatsoever. All right, so before we go to the radiator hose, let's go ahead and look at this one. So this is the polypropylene rope, and if you heard me talk about this when I picked this up at Tractor Supply, they had to get a chain cutter to cut this. So I forget how many pounds, like tensile strength this is, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a little over 1,000. So this is crazy strong rope. Again, at the pocket knife I had in my pocket would not touch it. They literally had to get a chain cutter to cut this. So let's see how it does. Let's see if I can avoid cutting myself. I think pretty impressive. So that was not much effort at all. Not the super cleanest cut, but again, with this kind of material, pretty hard to get a super clean cut. So, but that was still pretty impressive. All right. So now let's do the radiator hose. So this is reinforced radiator hose, and you can see that reinforcement in there just a little bit. Kind of see the little white threads in there. You can also see it on the outside with the pattern. But let's see how to go through here. So I told you I was obsessed with keeping my knives clean. I just cannot stand it when there's stuff on my knife, so I gotta wipe it off. And yes, to avoid wiping it on my shirt, I put a rag in my pocket today so I could do this very thing. All right, let's see how it does. I mean, that was pretty impressive. All right, let's turn it up on the side, see how it does there. Like, I don't even know if I needed to put my hand on top, but like, rock it back and forth a little bit, and it just comes right apart. It's almost like it's brittle and it's just cracking, but I assure you that is not the case. It's just super fun. I gotta do it one more time. All right, that was pretty impressive. All right, so let's set that aside, and let's go with some zip ties. All right, so we have a standard light duty zip tie. Let's see how well it goes through that. Real easy. Let's see how it does on the table going through it. Very easy as well. All right, let's step it up. We got a pretty thick but kind of a medium duty zip tie. Again, quite easy going through that. Go through it this way. Put a little pressure. Man, very cleanly slices through that. Like, that's fun. I got to do it again. It's just kind of hard to explain how sharp these knives are, but that's really impressive. So if you've seen any of the other videos, sometimes they struggle to go through them that way, and that's neat to see. All right, let's step it up again. This is the heaviest duty zip tie that I have. Double, forgot what they call that. The little ridges are on both ends, so super strong. Not really going to matter if I'm cutting it, but just let you know it is a very thick cord. And this one definitely struggles a little bit. Scaring the wife a little bit getting through that one, I think. All right, let's see how it goes through this. Put a little pressure, but goes through it pretty easy. I'm just curious if I wasn't holding that right or something. Let's try it one more time. There we go. Much easier. All right. So gets through the heavy duty zip ties quite easy. All right. So now let's look at cardboard. Let's see how it does there. So we'll first go, I mean, that's pretty fun. Goes through that pretty easy. All right. So a lot of knives we cut it that way pretty easy. Let's see how the sideways cut goes. I mean, almost as easy as it cuts the paper. So I think that one was pretty successful. Now let's see how it does when I go through this way. All right, that one didn't get through all the way. That could have been me. Yep, probably. Great. All right, so I was doing all that with the tip. Let's see how it does with the edge going through it like that. Just as easy. So crazy sharp. All right. Now after doing all of those tests, see, even though I got my rag, I still wiped it on my shirt. Let's see if it still cuts through paper. I mean, I could just do that all day long. That's super fun. So crazy sharp. So amazing knife. If you have not checked out Aurora Knife and Tools, definitely go do so. But here is the HiveMind. Super cool knife. Really good looking with those copper accents. And again, super smooth action. Front flipper, thumb flipper. I mean, just can't beat it. Man, that action, I remember that from Blade Show, and that was what was so impressive with them. Like, and he must have had them like super oiled up, because this one, like, believe it or not, this one doesn't fall down as easily as the one at Blade Show, but I just remember like picking it up and I pushed the button because it's kind of hard to figure out how to close it because you don't initially think that's the button. Although it's kind of funny, I showed this knife off to a couple people and everybody immediately got that's how you close it. But I didn't immediately know that, so I pressed it and it just fell like so easily and almost got my fingers because I didn't get them out of the way. But super cool. I just thought they were fantastic and just really wanted to show those off. And again, this is the Aurora tool, knife and tool, HiveMind, and super cool. This is titanium scales, copper accents, S35 steel, and just a super good looking, super heavy duty, super quality knife. And again, 3.2 inches on that blade. So big enough for I think most people, but not too big to feel heavy in the pocket. So check it out, Aurora knife and tool, amazing knife, and excited to show this one off to you guys. So just remember, as we're out there wandering and preparing, let's make sure we do so by faith and not by sight. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much.